This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of bringing on Dane McCarthy. We are going to talk about the power of squads. Shout out to Michael Ricks at McKinsey. That's McKinsey & Co. Very high-end place to work. Introducing me to a fellow entrepreneur. So Dane, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Pete. It's funny you mentioned Michael Rixey. He was a big part of our advertising campaign early on. He's a good-looking lad. He used to run down the West Side Highway, and we'd have a lot of eager females join the gym after seeing him one with his shirt. So glad that he was able to make the link.
That's funny. Yeah, he's a big proponent of health, wellness in the Halo sector. So we welcome his forward-looking research and bringing more capital into the category. So, give us a little background on, how you got to here, from Australia to New York, and now basically setting up, groups of people to be able to work out, and you've got your own studios, and, this should evolve in a number of different ways and could be like a fireworks display. So give us a little background.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for having me on. I'm really enjoying the podcast. I've got a lot of value from it. So we started in 2020. I arrived in New York in 2019, about 6 months before the pandemic. So great timing. But before that, I played a higher level of rugby through university. Was big into my team sports and had a crack at making it professionally there. Sadly, didn't have the skills. Went into corporate and worked in finance for a couple of years before moving over to Salesforce.com. Worked there for a number of years, worked in their financial services practice. They transferred me over to New York. And after the pandemic had happened, there was an absence of opportunities to train. And the insight that we really had was, in Australia, people train together in groups in a more common way. You would play rugby until you're 35, or you would be part of a netball team until you were 35. And coming to the US, noticed that the workout culture was very different, really transactional in nature. Incredible, entertaining, fun, great, but we felt we were just missing that training with your friends element. And so that's what we did. We started groups of people training together at the same time and place with a dedicated coach. And that's what we call squads. And that's kind of the story about how it came to be.
Now, just for the entrepreneurs that are out there, you're obviously, in effect, solving your own frustration, realizing that other people have that same frustration. We're going to replicate it. We're going to make it as amazing an experience and as seamless to interact, to get socialization and, get people together, which is probably one of the hardest things to do in Manhattan because everyone feels like they don't have enough time.
Totally.
So when you take a look at, ways that you could have done that, you could have gone to a CrossFit studio or personal training studio or, Barry's boot camp. I'm a big soul cycler. And you could have said, hey, I'm going to go rally my troops around me. I'm going to kind of make this my hub. And I'm just going to pull people in like I'm a rugby team. And I'm going to try and create that. And maybe I'll still be working at Salesforce. So what kind of, talk to us as an entrepreneur about, hey, look, this was the only way I could do this was my way. And I can't really let somebody else host me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, I was playing rugby here in New York, and they did a great job of bringing us together. And it was just because COVID happened that stopped. So when it came back, we certainly had that opportunity, but we didn't find I didn't find at least the CrossFits that I was going to had the infrastructure in place to create those organic moments to connect with people, right? So you're in the class without a doubt. And in those moments, that's brilliant. That's a great time. But then you're kind of in and out, the next class starts, you're off. So what we really strive to do is build it around really WhatsApp groups. So each squad is made up of 10 to 20 people and they live within a WhatsApp. And so there's an opportunity for you to look at the profiles of the people in your squad, to connect with them after. And we really set up the infrastructure that allowed for that organic kind of communication. We also partnered really early on with Bluestone Lane, which is an Australian cafe down in West Village where we first started. And we almost made it mandatory to go to coffee after the workout. We used to say that the workouts were an hour long, 45 minutes working out and 15 minutes having a coffee. And so that was another part of the infrastructure that we put in place to ensure that those interactions were happening. Yeah, it's a long way of answering your question. Like we
Yeah.
just thought there was elements missing around the edges.
So what's you've got 3 studios now. We'll have everything up on the show notes. You can talk about, you know, where those are strategically located. But what are some of the things that you're hearing from members of the squad to say, you know what, I'm achieving more in my workout goals. I feel better. Maybe I have a support system in New York City that I didn't think I had before. What are some of the things that have come about, or some of the aha moments that you said, hey, this is working? It's not, forget about the quantitative side of a business, but just talk about the qualitative side of what experiences that you're delivering.
Yeah, and that's a great point because this didn't start necessarily as a financial endeavor. It really was just about how we solved that problem. And what we've noticed, because people have a set training time and a schedule, it means that they really develop consistency. When we're not like a gym that you can drop in anytime you like. And so that schedule develops habits. So we find that the attendance levels are really, really high, but more importantly is the retention. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, Pete. I wouldn't know, maybe you do, kind of what the average month-to-month retention is of a gym. I know some from personal stories, about 50 to 60% stay on monthly, but our membership is purely monthly based. And we have a retention sitting around 96 to 98%. So people, when they join, don't leave, which means that they get a lot more consistency and end up changing their relationship, because they're not
Yeah.
doing it to punish themselves for, a couple burgers they had. And they're not doing it because they think that we're the greatest modality. They're selecting it because it's a fun way to work out and to be with friends.
Yeah, I mean, from a attrition standpoint, the average health club, even if you're an excellent health club in the US, you might still be losing 3% monthly of your members. So, if I'm a Lifetime Fitness, 30% of my members are going to turn over. So I'm basically 5,000, I'm losing 1,500. And I'm basically using every month to try and refill that, 1,500 that are going to be lost. If you look at some of the health clubs that maybe like consider like HVLP 2.0, where it's basically, more of just coming in and coming out without necessarily a strong relationship with the club, that could be anywhere between 5 to 6% per month. So it could be half or more of the membership that is turning over. Some of that might be transient, some of it might be where people live, but on average, it's kind of unacceptable that somebody joins a health club and doesn't stay for, 2 years. And a lot of that is because somebody hasn't helped them achieve the goals that they had thought that they could achieve. People aren't asking the right questions. It's not a personalized experience. And it's very easy to break up with a health club, where it might be
Right.
harder to break up with a squad. So
Right.
there's some dynamic about, relationships and, leaving a team, as I like to use as a great analogy. Like nobody wants to get cut. Nobody wants to like retire from a professional team, if you're getting all the benefits out of it. So
Yeah, I mean, I would never say to my rugby team when I was playing, "Hey guys, it's just not working with my schedule. I'm not going to work out with you guys." You know what I mean? Like, and that's what we're developing, and that's why I think the unit economics worked, at least in my scenario where I was working full time when we started this. We didn't have any startup capital. We didn't go on and take any big risks with debt or anything like that. This was completely self funded from the initial Venmo payments we received for hiring a coach. Um, and given where we were in COVID, we had no equipment. So when we first started, we just had square boxes, drawn on the floor, and we were just doing burpees inside. And the aha moment I had was, hell, this could work because people are joining because they're joining a squad. They're not joining a modality. They're not joining facilities, and they're certainly not joining amenities. So when we came out of COVID and all these other gyms started coming back quite aggressively, I was kind of thinking, all right, the gig's up. You know what I mean? Now people can go back to you know, their equinoxes and their whatnot. And we retained, and members continuously said, look, I would hate to leave my squad. I've developed some really good friendships in there. So why would I leave?
So aside from the competitive nature of, let's say you said, look, I figured out the special sauce on people working out in urban cities where they're more focused on their time and not focused on relationships, even though they want to focus on relationships and have them. Um, if you decided tomorrow, look, my business runs on its own. I'm going to actually take my relationship building squad platform and I'm going to go show all these health clubs around the country how to do it and get to 95% retention, and actually create like these robust, micro communities that, are impenetrable. Um, have you kind of stumbled upon something that maybe is so intuitive, yet people don't have the ability to think about how you implement it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a number of lessons we've learned from squads because we're still dealing with interpersonal relationships, and so we have a really refined onboarding process that ensures that people feel, because something that's we have to overcome is that perception of clickiness. Well, there's a squad there, they're already formed, they're already mates, like what's going on, and so we spend a lot of time and we overlap full-time staff only for the most part, and technology to ensure that anyone who joins gets the right onboarding kind of treatment and is integrated into a squad really quite well. So that's kind of where our IP is and where we really focus on.
Got it. So when you started this business up, you started with some friends. Did you start with some other people? How'd you kind of? It sounded like it more started out as a business plan and a incorporation. And here's my EIN number. It sounded more of like a fluid, the business kind of. It turned into a business. Not really sure if it started as one.
No,
Is that
that's spot
accurate?
on. Yeah, that's spot on. The first squad was me and my mate. And then
Yeah.
winter started peeking its head, and we thought, holy dooly, we've got to go find a space indoors. And we were walking past this gym, which was Refined Studio at the time. The owner actually sold a mirror to Lululemon. And so I remember negotiating with her on taking over the lease, and she really didn't want to have a business. She had just sold a big bit of cash and didn't want to have anything to do with me. But she was very kind in the end, and we got into that space. And then it was like, holy hell, we can't get a space in a lease without an EIN number, without an
Oh.
LLC. And so we kind of shot fire on that. That's kind of how it happened.
And then what's your current status? Are you working full time, have a career, and also doing village athletic, or is this now full time?
Yeah, no, we've hired full time. I still have a full time job. So I'm very much a financial owner. And we've implemented some incredible full time fitness professionals to run it. Of course, I have a lot of oversight on the decisions we make and how we grow, seeking investment and that kind of stuff. But the day to day is managed by fitness professionals.
Mm. Some of the things that struck me, I'm not struck very often. No, I'm just kidding. Some of the things that struck me when I was looking at your website, and you list the squads, but you don't necessarily list the facilities, and it kind of made me stop to think of what you just said was that by not showing me a facility, I'm not psychologically thinking about how I'm going to get there, how I'm going to get back. Is it convenient? Is it not convenient? I'm thinking about joining a team, and no matter what sport you play, your team plays everywhere. So,
Right.
depending on what level you're at, it doesn't really matter what stadium you're in. It just matters who your mates are and who your squad is. So I feel like you're kind of parlaying something deeper into like, what am I marketing? Like my facilities might not be, that's not an important decision making checklist item that I'm giving to you. Is that how do I think about it?
Well, we're looking for people who are self-selecting into squads. You know what I mean? Like we're very transparent about what we are and what we're not up front. So if you're looking for facilities, Equinox. You know what I mean? If you're looking for convenience, F45. If you're looking for a genuine team, you're coming to us. If you're looking for accountability, you're coming to us. So we very deliberately have set up our naming convention. So the athletic clubs is our parent company. And then each neighborhood that we serve has their own gym. So we have West Village Athletic, we have Greenwich Village Athletic, and we have Williamsburg Athletic. So we want people to identify with the area that they live in and then travel to join their team.
Got it. Got it. One of the things, we'll send you a copy of our book, Time to Win Again, but we always say that you should treat your employees like professional athletes. Give them uniforms with their name on the back so they feel that their playing field is basically your company. and they're the biggest representation of that. So as your people that are listening to this podcast saying, hey, I like what these guys are doing as they grow, am I, qualified, or am I the type of person that you would hire? Maybe without giving us the full, Myers-Briggs checklist, what type of people have you identified? Saying like, this is the type of person, are they a coach? Were they a player? To talk about that as you grow.
Yeah, we tend to hire for full-time only. We're trying to stay away from contractors as much as we can, which is kind of bucking the trend of the industry. We like that because we don't necessarily want people to feel like they're mercenaries within our business. We want them to really identify with our members. So that's kind of number one, someone who wants to full-time. We've had a lot of luck with previous athletes. In fact, one of you promoted gameplan.com, I believe it is.
Yeah.
The game plan. So
Yep.
we really like that. Former athletes we would love to have involved, particularly if they played in team sports in college. So our staff tend to have that background, and then generally have to be willing to be a community manager just as much as, if you're a purebred coach and you just love the day-to-day technicality of coaching, probably not for us. We're looking for people who have that desire to be customer success community managers.
Got it. And when you take a look at the programming, you started off with the burpees, without any equipment. I get that. I don't know how long I can do burpees for, but I can do some. But do you have to do different squads kind of take different either weeks, or, like we're doing a 6 week and we're going to do hit with this group. We're going to do 6 week and we're going to do, some other modality, or how do you guys set up the programming side of it?
Yeah, so another good thing about me not being a fitness professional by trade is we've hired in people with really good experience in that. I listened to a talk you had with the metabolic
Yeah.
founders, and love
Yeah.
their approach to fitness. We take something very similar. Being a former athlete, like our coach would never say to us, "Hey, we're going to do 6 days of high intensity interval training, as hard as you can." Your body would just. So we're very like you train with your team twice a week in the gym doing interval strength training, right? So we are loading the bar, and we're also, getting to pretty high heart rate zones in those times. But then on the alternative days that you're not with your squad, you're doing a run club, which is a steady state level 2 training, or you're recovering, you're not in the gym at all. So for us, we're really thinking about how you train for consistency. Consistency is a core value as ours. And so going in and getting your ass kicked, as people like to say, 5 days a week, it's not what we do. Our modality is much more about being a consistent athlete and a consistent trainer.
Yeah. So one of the investments we made quite some time ago, which doing great, were think the founders are awesome at this company called Higher Dose. They do a lot of infrared saunas. They do infrared blankets, LED light masks. They've got a location at 11 Howard, where they've taken over several rooms. Basically, they're almost like a prohibition style type of, workout recovery, not on the front door type of thing. As you evolve squads, and the reason why I bring this up is, is there a squad that says, okay, we're doing this, we're doing brunch, and then we're going to, 11 Howard to Higher Dose, and hey, we're doing squads, and then we're going to a, giant game. Like, is this turning into like a robust kind of end to end? Starts with fitness, starts with community, it kind of leads to community, and then it becomes kind of like your social, you know, opportunities to
Yeah.
add to your, things you're going to do with others.
Yeah, it's a great insight. And I mean, I think I've heard you mention on the pod a couple of times, like, as much as people don't want to admit it, there is a real serious issue of loneliness, not just in New
Oh
York,
man,
but mental health is in a really bad place for a lot of people. And that stems from just not having the support network around them. So one of the beautiful things about seeing your squad every Monday and Wednesday going for a coffee is you develop these networks. Now, out of that, we as I mentioned, have inserted these infrastructure to support it. So we have an events planner, Tor. She does an incredible job. She puts on something monthly that varies in scale and scope. That might just be a happy hour every Thursday at a local pub. Or it could be one of the major galas that we do at the end of the year where we fundraise, where we have 300 or 400 people there and we're fundraising. But the really cool thing, to your point, is these WhatsApp groups start forming around special interests. So each squad has their own WhatsApp. Then we have a parent WhatsApp where we will socialize other special interests. So there'll be a hiking, there's a interest in Formula One, and there's a Taylor Swift appreciation society, where there's a real estate sharing group within New York where people are just sharing apartments constantly. So
Uh,
it's really forming this ecosystem around the training that is becoming quite cool. And then how we potentially monetize that, I'm not sure, or if we really want to, but it's definitely a part of the community for sure.
Gee, it's interesting being an entrepreneur in your shoes, and I'll make a statement and a compliment at the same time. There's a lot that you could control on how this business evolves, and there's maybe a portion of it that you want to just see how it evolves on its own.
Right.
And whether I have my hand in that or whether that's a program that is done with or through a squad, that might not be the relevance is the 97% that people are
Right.
staying with the core squad. And other things that happen are almost like ancillary benefits. And if I create them, then I should get rewarded for them. I usually say, take an appropriate toll on a highway, to provide certain things to people. But I'm not trying to control everything that happens or have a closed network. I mean, you're using WhatsApp, so you're already trying to say to everyone like your communication is not like through us. We're
Right.
using a communication tool that everyone's comfortable with. And I'm not trying to control how this squad works. I'm just trying to make sure that the squad survives and thrives. And then once set up, everything kind of builds from there. Is that accurate? Do you want me to pitch that to somebody?
No, that's spot on. You nailed it. And I mean, we're really humble. Like we in that we're humbled by the fact that we're still quite small. We've got about 3 studios now, but we've got a lot to learn and a lot of stuff to make better. So at the moment, we are just listening to our members
Yeah.
constantly, like providing them feedback channels, constantly sending them links saying, give us more feedback. We have rating systems as they're leaving each of the studios. So like at the moment where we're just growing quite quickly, but still with our core group, I would say, of our 3 studios, we're just trying to absorb information about what people want. And I think we've got to be really careful when we grow in that sense, because you can alienate your best members and the people who
Sure.
have really cared for you from the start if you don't do it well. And they're the people we want to target.
Yeah. So we have this Halo Academy. You should definitely come and bring some of your guys on, your team members and squad leaders if you want. We go through all the different business models in the industry. You can pick out the special sauce of Planet Fitness, CrossFit, Soul Cycle, Cycle for Survival, Peloton. Then we do LA Fitness and some other ones. But yeah, I think that the point about continuous learning is something that every entrepreneur should be doing. So kudos to you for saying, hey, I'm in here. I got good intuition, but I also should know the history of what worked and hasn't worked, and
Yeah.
other things that are people on a power tip. So, look, thanks for coming on the show. Now, as part of your, elevator pitch, you can say I create squads in the Halo sector. If I overhear you saying that, I'll be like, amen. That's right. It's my boy right here, Dane. And look forward to seeing you in person in the city. And we'll get this out there and start to fill up more people, get results with you guys.
I really appreciate it, Ben. Looking forward to joining the Academy.
Awesome. All right, man. Good stuff. Thanks.